Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021, just myself, 22 season. My name is Dan and welcome to, I guess, just a pretty random stream, to be honest. Just a random stream because I'm pretty bored. I thought, I've done my team selection video already earlier on today. I thought maybe we'll do a stream or something just so we can talk about some final stuff and we can just cover whatever else needs to be covering before we have the hectic deadline stream tomorrow, because it is always hectic in the deadline streams. And I think these streams are a little bit more chilled out. I call them the preview streams. They happen now and again, depending on how bored I am, basically, and how much spare time I have to make this kind of content. So, hello guys, hope you're all good. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy Friday schedules to tune in. That's pretty awesome of you guys. I can see a few guys in the chat already. Andrea says he's in the pub in Zagreb. He's on the piss, but he won't miss this one. Godspeed, Dan. So that's love to hear that people are having some drinks and watching some FPL Mate. That's one way to spend your evening, I'll put it that way. We've got Dan Cross and Count Sealaw in the chat as well, the moderators extraordinaire. Of course, I did meet Dan Cross once again last weekend, which was very, very good at Fantasy Football Fest. Yeah, that was pretty wicked, actually. Got to meet a load of people. Maybe some of you guys were there, maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, so basically, there's a few things that are, judging by, comments on YouTube videos this week, that you would like me to cover. I think the first thing I do want to cover is I want to make a wildcard draft, because I know a lot of you guys are maybe on a wildcard this week. I mean, if you're not using a wildcard now, it feels like you're probably never going to use it. Like, come on, you've got to be using that. You got to be using that wildcard by now. So I'm going to be making a wildcard draft live for you today, so hopefully that's going to be pretty good and you're going to be happy with that one. I'm going to go through some injury updates and team news, and maybe we'll even do some predictions of some teams as well. We won't keep this stream too long. I don't want this to be a super long one because I want people to be able to watch it back as well as a bit of a video. And then finally at the end, any questions that you guys have, we'll try and answer a few before we dip off, and then that'll be it for today, and we'll see you again on the deadline stream. And there we go. That's simple as that, guys. That's the plan. Right. Like I said, I want to start off right off the bat, and we're gonna. What should I do? Should I go on? How do I? Let's do it on FPL.team, because that is one of my favourite websites. I actually met the creator of FPL.team last week. Lovely chap. And this tool is just, he's done so well to make it. So what I'm going to do is this is my team. I'm just going to wait. This is not my team, because that's not my that's not my ID. Hang on, let me try and update this for you. There you go, that's my team. Right, okay, so I'm just going to clear the whole board probably and just replace the players, and we're going to build a bit of a wildcard team. So this is my team right now. We're just going to assume we're on a wildcard. So I'm going to start taking out some players. We'll add some players back in, and then everything will be absolutely amazing. All good in the hood. Right, so let's start off by, I think, taking out certain players. So obviously our Newcastle players. If you're on a wildcard right now, you're not going to want a Newcastle player at all, really, are you? I'm going to put in Sessegnon here because Reguilon is injured, and even when he's fit, I think Sessegnon is actually preferred. So I think Sessegnon in a kind of wing-back role could be quite a nice little cheap player to go for. He's only 4.3 million, so that could be pretty nice. In terms of other cheap defenders, I'm thinking maybe a Tavares. And that allows us to go fairly expensive on the other guys. I am tempted to go for Alonso, however, here. So it kind of depends how much money you want to put in your defence. Those are a couple of cheap options, though, that you can go for. I think for the purpose of this video, we are going to go for Alonso. We're going to go fairly big at the back. That's a fairly decent defensive line there. And then Sessegnon or Tavares, I think I like those as your kind of fifth defender option. Don't have to play them if you don't want to, but they're very, very nice cover indeed. Into midfield, Salah and Saka, I think those two are going to definitely stay. I'm actually going to go for Kane over Son, I think. And then we'll probably need to get a bit of City. So let's maybe go for Foden for a little bit of Manchester City in the attack. I would go for De Bruyne, but apparently De Bruyne is playing through an injury at the moment. So I'm not sure if I'd want to spend all that money on a player who is, currently carrying an injury. I think if we're looking for a captain for that game week, well, game week 36, isn't it? Then we've already got Salah. If you really don't want to go for Salah as captain, then I guess there's argument you could have KDB instead. But I don't think you need both KDB and Salah. I think you do with just one or the other. I do like Kane a lot for this game against Leicester. I think he'll do well against Arsenal. He always does well against Arsenal. And then Burnley at home, Norwich away. That's just such a fantastic run of fixtures for Chelsea. So for Spurs. So I do think we do need to have a little bit of Spurs in there. I know a lot of you guys. I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, I just want to hop off Spurs players. But, honestly, I don't see why you would. They are not going to rotate. They are the nailed-on players. They have so much to play for. This is the only competition they're in. They've got double game week in 36. They've got very, very good fixtures all around that. I like a little bit of Spurs. So I think we should go for a little bit of Spurs. Any other player you maybe want to consider? In fact, I would probably do this, to be fair. I'd probably go Cash over Alonso, to be fair. And then in midfield, we probably want a little bit more of the old Aston Villa. Just because with Aston Villa, Norwich at home, double game week 36, a very nice double game week 37. We haven't got this horrible fixture against Man City. So we would, if you are wildcarding now, you probably would be looking to remove maybe one Aston Villa player in 38 because, it's just, I mean, they're probably going to rotate in that game, Aston Villa anyway, and they play against Manchester City, so it's not exactly fantastic. So, we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I don't think you need to go for two expensive goalkeepers anymore. I think you could just stick with one now, particularly as Schmeichel, 36 double, 37 double. Not an ideal fixture this game week, but aside from that, after that, remember, FPL is not played in 1 week. Pick a goalkeeper that you want to stick with for the rest of the season. And Spurs away, double 36, double 37, and then Southampton at home on the final day of the season. I think that's pretty good indeed. So I think we would be looking to do that as well. So we're getting there. We are getting there. I'm conscious of trying to not make this team too expensive as well. So I imagine a lot of you guys are looking to bench boost, so I am going to consider that as we go through this team. One forward that I don't mind for a bench boost kind of thing is Richarlison, if you can afford him. That does, of course, leave us with very little money. Very little money indeed. So maybe I might have gone slightly too expensive here if I'm going for Richarlison as well. But I think if we maybe take Kulusevski down to, I really like Gordon actually. Then that's a pretty good one. You probably wouldn't play Gordon this week. You probably just put him on the bench for now, and then wait for that double game week. And then we need one more double game week player. If you're looking to bench boost in 36. If you're not looking to bench boost in 36, you can actually go a lot cheaper with all of these players. But assuming you are looking to bench boost, we just need one more forward, and they're going to have to be a pretty cheap one. And to be fair, this is a pretty expensive team anyway, isn't it? Maybe you guys will not be able to afford this one. Yeah, I'll do this first, and then we'll try and get it a little bit. Cheaper. Okay, so Mason in the super chat says, Trent Alexander-Arnold / Robertson rotation risk this game week. I would say that Trent will 100% play. Robertson, I'm like 90%. The thing is with Liverpool, they have to play their full strength team every single game. Pretty much, because they are chasing the Premier League title. They need to. They're not even. If they were like a few points ahead or something, then maybe you could see a little bit of rotation. But they can't take their foot off the gas at all. There's just a few games left this Premier League season. They just need to keep that foot on the gas, and I do expect Liverpool to go pretty hard for the rest of the season. Pretty hard. So don't go for Liverpool players or get worried about Liverpool players thinking they're going to get rotated. There's no point. They're no more likely to get rotated than anyone else. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes we do get these random rotations, but you certainly would not call them rotation risk players. Sports Edit in the chat has said Watkins instead of Richarlison. I definitely would not be doing that personally, just because we don't want to go too hard on Aston Villa just because they play Man City in 38. And the difference is between Aston Villa and Everton. And the fact is, if we want to really capitalise on as many double game weeks as possible, we do need to go in a little bit on Aston Villa and Everton. The good thing about Everton is they have so much to play for. They are battling in relegation. They are, they're not going to be able to rotate at all. Where I think a little bit of rotation might creep in at certain points for Aston Villa, or them just downing tools a little bit and just going onto the beach. It's going to happen at some point or another for Aston Villa. Whereas Everton, we know they're going to go full strength, so hard, got to win every game. Every game is a must win. Crazy for the rest of the season, which is exactly what we want. That's a good idea, and we can start targeting teams like that. So there we go. Right. Next. We need to downgrade Broja. Don't really know who to. Let's put Nketiah in, but I think we're way over budget here. So let's downgrade some players. I think the players that I would be most likely to downgrade from here would probably be Foden and Richarlison. Those are the players I probably have the least amount of faith in, and I'll probably we'll probably play Nketiah this week as well, just for the vibes. No, I wouldn't. I would play Sessegnon. So Foden and Richarlison would be the two players I'd be most willing to sacrifice here. It's just a case of who. I don't know. Maybe you like a Pookie. You guys fancy a little Pookie? Go for a little cheeky little Pookie. And then, if we want to take even more budget out, we can maybe downgrade Foden to someone. I don't know exactly who, though. We could go for another Arsenal midfielder, maybe. It's difficult because we do want a bit of Man City in there, don't we? But, not sure. Why no Leicester players, says Ash in the chat, because Leicester are going to rotate like crazy. There is, other than Schmeichel, and Schmeichel is in the team, by the way, other than Schmeichel, Leicester are going to rotate like crazy. They're going to put full focus on the Europa Conference League. That's definitely not really something we want to be thinking about going for Leicester players right now. If you're on a wild card, particularly, you can actually afford to remove Leicester players for nothing. I would arguably, if you have Leicester players right now, if you have a Maddison or a Barnes in your team or whoever, I would be removing them. I've had a few people message me this week saying, "Oh, do you think we should go for Vardy right now?" And my answer is hell no. Definitely not thinking about Vardy whatsoever. So yeah, in general, I think we would just avoid, completely avoid these Leicester players, other than Schmeichel, of course. Right, anyway, Dan Cross in the chat suggested we could swap maybe and go for you said a João Pedro or Dennis. I do prefer Dennis. If you prefer a Dennis to a Pookie, you want to save a little bit more money, then you can do that. This is a reasonably expensive team, I think. I don't know does it say the total cost of this team, but this, as a wild card, I really like. If you had to downgrade someone, I think it would probably be Foden, to be honest. I like all of the other players too much. So it'd probably be Foden that you downgrade here, to be honest. You could maybe play Foster as well this week instead of Schmeichel. That's kind of up to you, whoever you prefer. I'd probably stick with your main goalkeeper just because, you never know, save points, whatever. Stanis says, but Leicester got double game weeks twice. Yes, they absolutely have. 36 and 37, which is why we've got Schmeichel in. But it doesn't matter. A team can have a double game week, but if they're rotating, if half of their players plays in one game in the double and half their team plays in the other game in the double, then they may as well have a single game week. And in which case, why not just pick better players for the same price? So, I'm not going to talk about that one too much. If you really want to go for Leicester players, that's completely on you. I'm not here to tell you what to do by any stretch of the imagination, but I am definitely not feeling it. So, no Leicester players from me. I will not be touching any of them. I will not recommend any of them other than Schmeichel. If you have them, I would genuinely be selling them, other than maybe like Dewsbury Hall, just because he's so cheap and you could just leave him on the bench anyway. But yeah. That's my spiel there. But there we go. There's a little wild card. A little wildcard team for you. Just to go through the game week. So this would obviously be game week 35 for this team. You would probably captain Sensible. Actually no, we probably captain Kane. So Kane captain, Salah vice captain. I think just because Kane just loves playing against Leicester. I don't know why. Why is it, Spurs fans? Why is it that Kane loves playing against Leicester so much? Always scores there. Always does very well. There we go. Moving on to the next game week. So this is where we've got a full team of doubles. So bench boost, an insane bench boost where you get a total of, well, how many? Well, first of all, let's make our captain the right player. So how many fixtures is this? 11. Add the 4 on the bench. That's 15. 15 times 2 equals 30. So you'll have 30 fixtures, and then double your captaincy as well for your captain. 32 players, basically. It'd be essentially playing with 32 players. That is just mad. If we're completely honest, how reliable do we think those on the bench are? You know, if we're looking at what the bench would actually look like, it's probably a little bit more like... that. That would be your actual bench, really, wouldn't it? Of course, if you wanted to switch Sessegnon and maybe go for a Tavares instead, that's obviously an option there as well. Or you can make a swap next game week, you know. But the idea is, hopefully, that you wouldn't even need to make a transfer. If you're wildcarding in game week 35, well, anytime you wildcard, you shouldn't really need to use a transfer after that. So there we go. That's a team for you. That's a big old bench boost team. So that would look amazing in game week 36. Game week 37 still looks pretty good because we've still got a couple of double game week players here. You'll have 2 free transfers to use by this point. Let's switch things about first of all. Maybe we'll put in... I mean, there's so many options. Probably leave those guys on the bench, to be honest. So you can make a transfer here, go for someone else. If you fancy another double game week player, if you fancy, like, I don't know, what might be quite nice, maybe go Foden to Zaha. That could be kind of an interesting one. I know Zaha is a real risky player, isn't he? But it's certainly something you could consider doing. That would allow you to maybe do a second one. Maybe go Dennis to Weghorst if you fancy another. If you fancy more pain, then maybe put Saka on the bench. Maybe put Cancelo on the bench. Kind of up to you who you want to put on the bench there. You probably go for Saka, to be fair. And then do something like that. Pretty nice. Captain double. Maybe Coutinho for the double game week. Maybe Gordon, because he's got to be playing both. I don't like that, to be honest. Now, to be honest, I do worry a little bit in this double game week, in this double game week 37, that there might be a little bit of rotation that creeps in for Aston Villa. So I don't know. In 37, I'm not sure if Coutinho will play both, to be honest. I think Cash is more likely, so maybe he's a captaincy option there for you. But there you go. So by that point, you could do something like that. Game week 38, you've got a team. We can mix this up again. Put in the good players in. Take Cash out. We don't want Cash. Captain Salah or Captain Kane, maybe, if you want, whatever you want. And then you can just make your final transfer of the season, or go hard if you want to go hard. Do whatever you want. I mean, you know, maybe you would even play Zaha there instead of Weghorst. That could be pretty nice. Manchester United, obviously, are Manchester United. Coutinho, maybe you take him back out. And who's got good fixtures on the final day of the season? Arsenal have Newcastle midfielder, probably not. Chelsea midfielder, maybe. Maybe take Coutinho out and go back for someone like Mount. I don't know what your budget's going to be by this point. This is like an expensive team, I know. But yeah, then just do something like that. You know, something like that. Just mess about with it. Why not? Have a little bit of fun with it. But yeah, let's get back to the game week 35 one. So yeah, the team starts like that. And you can basically just start with that and then freestyle from there, really. Go for the players you fancy. Don't go for the players you don't fancy. Like I say, if you had to downgrade one player there, I would probably go for Foden. His underlying stats are not that good, and you always worry a little bit about rotation as well. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, is it? Cormac Fagan says, I have free hit and bench boost left. When do I use? That completely depends on what your team looks like. Yeah, it is so difficult. Your bench boost should be used when your bench looks its best. I would recommend going on something like FPL.team and just scrolling through the game weeks and seeing on what game week does your team look like you've got an insane bench. That's the game week to bench boost. It could be 36, could be 37. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you've got a load of double players necessarily. Just when your bench looks the best. That's pretty much it. And free hit is when you should kind of be used when you're not very well set up for a game week. So if you're not very well set up for game week 36, double game week, then that might be a good time to free hit. If your team is not very well set up for game week 37 double, then maybe use your free hit there. If you're, etc., etc., etc. Just use it when, whenever you look at your team and think, oh, I'm not quite looking good for this one. But yeah, that's generally what I would say. I mean, it's very difficult for me to go through each person's team. I know that like a lot of you guys watch these videos and these streams and stuff. It's really difficult for me to go through each of your teams and kind of analyze when is the best time to use your bench boost and your free hit and stuff. Like I just on my team alone will spend hours and hours and hours, days, weeks figuring out a chip strategy that works for my own team. So it's not something I can just say, oh, this is best for you here, this is best for you there, blah, 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 blah. It's just like kind of not quite easy to say that. Dan Cross says, don't say that, Dan. I want a free hit and captain continue in 37. Look, I could be completely wrong, but yeah, you would say that if like a player like Chukwuemeka is going to come in, the young player from Aston Villa, highly rated, if he's going to come in and get a little bit of game time, you would say somewhere in the region of 37, 38 is when they would perhaps give him a little bit of game time. Obviously, he's an attacking midfielder as well. Ramsey, they might want to try Ramsey out in that attacking midfield position as well. So we don't really fully know. Maybe some other players come in there. Traore is now fit for Aston Villa. We've got Bailey, who needs a bit of game time. He's had hardly any game time this season. Danny Ings, Watkins. We've got a lot of players. And then that's not even including some of the youth players. We're going to start to see now players you've never heard of in your entire life come into the Premier League starting lineups. And you're going to be like, whoa, who is this guy? And it's going to be rotation because teams have not very much left to play for. They want to try out some of their youth players, give them a little game time, give them a little bit of experience. It happens every year. And sometimes you get some really exciting ones. Every so often we'll get a player who... the one that always sticks in my mind was quite a while ago, actually. What was his name? It was a Manchester United player. Was it Wilson or something like that? I don't know if Manchester United fans remember a few seasons ago. I don't know where he went. I might actually have to look this up. Maybe I should Google this. Wilson, Man United. James Wilson? Yeah, here he is. Yeah, I remember him bursting onto the scene at the end of the season and just scoring a bunch of goals. He's at Port Vale now, played for Salford City as well. He's 26 now. Wow, making me feel old. When was it? Oh, wow, it was like the 2013-14 season. So that really was a long time ago. That seemed more recent in my head. But basically, that's exactly what happened. He played like one of the last games of the season. It may have even been the last game of the season. And he scored a couple of goals. Manchester United do it all the time. Chong came and played a couple of games at the end of one season. Who's that? Gomez. These are I don't know why I have such good, vivid memories of Manchester United youth players, but yeah, that's basically it. Alexander says, "Just show us your team, FFS." This is not really about my team. I mean, you can have a little look at my team if you want. I literally uploaded a team selection video earlier on today, so that's if you want to see my team, you can go watch that video. That went up about 3:30 p.m. UK time. So feel free to go check that out. Anto says, right now I'm playing Football Manager and Wilson scored a brace. So we're all talking about Wilson here. Vinal Raja said, keep or sell Saka. Oh, come on. You absolutely must keep Saka. And if you don't have Saka, he is arguably like a player you should buy. Like this game week, I'm actually genuinely considering captaining Saka. That's a bit of a differential, I'm chasing first at the moment. May have to do things a little bit differently, and I'm very tempted to captain someone like Saka. So we'll see. But yeah, what I'm basically saying is Saka, I think, is going to do very, very well this game week. We've got a cat upstairs. I think we've got a cat upstairs. Basically. There's some other captain options. A few people in the chat suggesting Cash for captain, Cancelo for captain. Definitely. If you really want to do something a little bit different, then why not? I think this is one of those game weeks where you can afford to go a little bit different. None of the captain options scream must captain to me. a lot of the times during the season, there's been weeks where there's been such an obvious captain that you just go with it. You know, it's obvious is obvious for a reason a lot of the time. This game week, I don't think there is a really obvious captain. I think you can afford to go for Salah, Kane or Son if you want to go for the main guys. If you've got a Man City player, I'd definitely consider that. A De Bruyne, a Raheem Sterling, I would be considering those guys. Just because I think they're both going to play this game week. Although, to be honest, I am wondering if KDB gets a rest this game week. If I'm totally honest with you, I think KDB might get a rest. We'll see. But yeah, Salah, Kane, Son are the obvious ones. If you have someone like Sterling, I think I would be willing to take a punt on him. Saka is a player I'd be willing to take a punt on. If you want to go for a Cash or a Coutinho or a Cancelo or one of the Liverpool fullbacks, maybe a Alexander-Arnold, then I wouldn't completely blame you for going for those players either if you want to be different. If you want to be normal, Salah, Kane or Son. If you want to be different, there is other options, and it's a good week to go different as well. So if you guys are like chasing mini league leaders, for example, then now would be a good time to go different. Next game week is not such a good game week to go different. Next game week is like, we'll probably stick with a Salah captain, to be honest. It's difficult to get away from Salah captain next game week, really. But this game week, I think you can have some fun with it. Have some fun with it. That's what I say. Right. In terms of team news, like I said, Saka looks good. I wonder if I can find something online, articles or whatever. I can't really be bothered. Saka looks good. Saka is available. They're not expecting him to not play, basically. They're expecting him to be fine and ready for this game against West Ham, so that should be absolutely fine. That's not until Sunday as well, so plenty of time to recover for him. They're also Arteta is also saying that Saka is still on pens. He's going to stay on penalties, so another reason to like the look of Saka a lot is the fact that he's going to still be on penalties. Could be the new penalty taker for Arsenal, which is pretty interesting. So that's something that you could consider. Like I said earlier, KDB is apparently carrying an injury, so I wonder if this could be a rotation for him this game week. Cancelo is almost certain to play, I would say, just because of lack of options, really, at Manchester City right now. Who else is injured or not injured or unavailable? I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, Kurt Zouma is back for West Ham, so they've got one fit centre-back to play on Sunday against Arsenal. There's not going to be any Dawson. The other centre-backs are unavailable. I did mention about Aston Villa. Traore is back. Digne is still out. Courtney Horse is still out as well, which does mean that Ashley Young is the only player who can play left-back right now. I don't know if that's something you want to think about. If you fancy an Ashley Young, if you're feeling a little bit cheap, you don't want to spend the money to go for Matty Cash, maybe you could go for Ashley Young. That's kind of up to you. AMG in the chat says, is Coutinho a must-have? I don't know if he's a must-have. He's a player you'd like to have, though. I'd rather have him than not have him, I'll put it that way. But I don't know if it's worth taking -8s and things like that for him. Like I say, I do think a little bit of rotation is going to creep into the Aston Villa attack. So it would be a short-term move. You'd be thinking about this Norwich game, which, by the way, is a fantastic fixture for Coutinho. And you'd be thinking about the double game at 36. By 37, 38, we're probably going to, there'll be a bit of rotation creeping in, particularly on 38, where Aston Villa play a Man City. So best case scenario is still not a very good scenario, to be honest. A few people asking about Martinelli. It's difficult. It's difficult to say about Martinelli. Obviously, he has been out of the team. I don't know if he's going to find himself back in it or not. I would probably consider selling if you've got a good transfer move you can make. If you can get from Martinelli to Coutinho very easily, for example, or for a -4 with the other transfer benefiting your team as well. So, for example, if you're downgrading a really expensive striker that you don't really like anymore to a cheaper striker and then upgrading a Martinelli to Coutinho, that is a transfer move I would quite like the look of, I think. TechXEO says KDB has gotten over his injury. What, in the last 3 days? I don't know about that. It's like, I'm not saying that he can't play. I'm just saying he's playing through an injury. which was only said a few days ago. So I doubt much has changed there, and I do think that he will need to be managed to a degree. And if he is going to miss one match for the rest of the season, you would say that this would be a pretty good time to do it. What in between Champions League games, what should be a pretty standard win for Man City as well. Big Fudge says, what are the chances of Man City centre-backs getting rotated before the end of the season? Right this second, not too much, just because there's not really centre-backs available. It's Diaz and Laporte. Ake is going to have to play at left back. Stones is injured right now, but maybe he can come back at some point or another. I would say that Laporte is a pretty good shout for the rest of the season. Someone you could just pick up and be pretty happy with. If you're just looking for those clean sheet points for Man City and maybe occasionally get a headed goal. I know he's not making as many of those headed goals kind of in the recent game weeks. From those set pieces and stuff. But if you just want to pick up clean sheet points, then there's nothing wrong with going for Laporte. But if Man City are scoring a lot of goals, then it is a standard 6-pointer, because Laporte doesn't do too well for bonus points compared to Cancelo, who generally has done quite well. Who has done quite well for bonus points, to be fair. So, fair play to him. Peter says, will Maddison start? I don't think he will. No, if I had to guess, I would say that Maddison is on the bench in Gameweek 35. If I'm completely honest. Guy Green says, would you consider selling for Coutinho? It depends who you're talking about. There's lots of players I would consider selling for Coutinho. If I had a Havertz, for example, I would be a little bit worried about his minutes going forward, and I would really strongly consider going to Havertz to Coutinho. I'm not saying it's the right move, but I'm saying it's something that's worth considering. Martinelli to Coutinho, Kulusevski to Coutinho. I know these are not easy transfers to make. If you've got a Maddison or a Barnes, those are players I'd definitely move to a Coutinho. So, those are some options basically. Anish in the chat has coincidentally said Kulusevski or Coutinho for the rest of the season, and you would go for Coutinho over Kulusevski, I think, if you had the option. A few people still have Werner. I think that's fine. I mean, stick with him for maybe one more game week, see what happens. He was doing quite well before the double game week, which turned out to be a little bit of a trap. But it's one of those things. And I am going to wrap this stream up just in a moment, just because I want to go get some food. And like I said, I wanted to keep this stream fairly short, fairly light. Just wanted to talk about some wildcard and some team news, and just give you a little bit of an update of the world. I've lost my trail of thought because I'm reading a super chat. Carles Mick says, hey, nice stream, mate. Help with A, Cornet, Reguilon to Ramsey, Laporte. Or B, Cornet, Sarr to Coutinho, Forster. C, Maddison, Reguilon to Saka / Coutinho and Cash. Well, C is definitely the player I like, the combo I like the most, because I don't think Maddison's going to play. We know Reguilon's injured. Saka or Coutinho, that's kind of up to you. But Saka / Coutinho and then Cash for option C. So hopefully that's kind of helpful for you. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But there's loads of players I consider going for instead of Coutinho. There's lots of players I would consider captaining this week, and I think you can have a bit of fun with it. I think we should probably do a bench list tomorrow on stream, just because I'm sure a lot of you guys have bench questions, really. But that's pretty much it for today, guys. Hopefully, I know this wasn't a very, very long stream. I do want to go get some food. I hope to see a few of you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's stream. Hopefully, I would have answered some questions that you might have. I know people coming into the stream late. We spoke about loads of stuff over the last half an hour, so maybe that's going to help. I've got another super chat. I better read that before I go. From Darshan says, help! Kulu and Werner to Sterling and Nketiah. No. I'm going to say no on that one. No, I don't think I would do that, particularly not if it's a -4. Like, Sterling is good for this game week, but he's not really good for long term, I don't think. And Nketiah is a little bit of a risky one. So you've got two rotation. You're taking out two fairly nailed on players and replacing them with two rotation risk players, and arguably taking a -4 for it as well. I don't know if I like the look of that too much, to be honest, mate. I think look elsewhere. Like Kulusevski and Werner to, like, I don't know. I'd rather go for Coutinho than Sterling this game week, for example. I just don't think I'd be bringing in Sterling, just because you've got to think longer term. Unless you're going to captain Sterling, unless you really want to do something different, in which case, fair enough. But there you go, guys. Make sure you leave a like before you disappear. That would be massively appreciated. Do subscribe if you're new around here. And final word of advice, guys. Don't buy Gabriel Jesus. He's a trap. Don't do it. Trust me. I'm probably gonna live to regret saying that, but don't buy him. I really don't like that transfer at all, and I know everyone's making it. But there we go. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.